Today, we need to talk about a story that is as heartbreaking as it is confusing. It all takes place in a small, quiet town, but what happened there? Well, it speaks to a much larger, much more urgent issue. This is the story of the Long family and the warnings that were left behind for all of us to see. Madbury, New Hampshire. You know, it's a quiet, peaceful kind of place. The kind of town where you think something like this could never, ever happen. But it did. And in a single night, an entire family was destroyed, leaving a community and really, the rest of us, just asking why. So to really understand how a family and a whole community could be so completely shattered, we have to start where this story ended, with the absolutely horrifying discovery on the night of August 18th. Late in the evening on Monday, August 18th, authorities got a 911 call that brought them to a home on Maharamid Drive. When they went inside, they found a scene that is just unimaginable. 4 members of the Long family were deceased. But amid all that tragedy, there was one small miracle. A toddler was found inside, alive and physically unharmed. A handgun was also recovered at the scene. The official autopsy findings paint a really clear and just gut-wrenching picture. The reports confirm that Ryan Long, who was 48, died from multiple gunshot wounds. His 2 little boys, 8-year-old Parker and 6-year-old Ryan, each died from a single gunshot wound. All of their deaths were ruled homicides. And their mother, 34-year-old Emily Long, died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Her death was ruled a suicide. But here is the thing. This tragedy didn't just come out of nowhere. The investigation pretty quickly uncovered a digital trail that Emily had left behind. It was a series of online posts that were basically a public diary of her very private and very deep despair. She'd actually created this whole identity for herself online, brain cancer wife. And this wasn't just some hashtag. No, it was her way of defining the immense, all-consuming pressure she was under as the main caretaker for her husband, Ryan, who was fighting a terminal brain cancer called glioblastoma. Her social media became her only outlet. I mean, in her own words, she called her TikTok account her personal diary, cheaper than therapy. It was this raw, unfiltered confession to the entire world about a turmoil she clearly felt she couldn't talk about anywhere else. But then, her posts started to take an even darker turn. Just days before the shootings, she wrote this. Looking back on those words now, I'm getting out of this depression whether I want to or not. It just carries this devastating, chilling weight. It shows this desperate desire for her pain to end by any means necessary. Now, I want to shift gears for a second, because what happened here isn't just tragic, it is also extremely rare. And to really grasp the scale of this, you have to put it into a statistical context. Acts like this are profound anomalies. They just defy our typical understanding of violence. Just look at this number. Researchers say the rate of murder-suicides involving parents in the entire United States is just 0.45 per 100,000 people. And when you look at cases where a mother is the one who commits the act, especially with a gun, it gets even rarer. We are talking about an event that is an extreme statistical outlier. So what on earth could possibly lead to something so rare? Well, experts often point to a kind of perfect storm of chronic stressors, like the ones you see here. Things like overwhelming grief from an illness, major financial strain, and underlying mental instability. Authorities believe some combination of these things was at play, but the specific path that led from that immense pressure to this final horrific outcome, it remains deeply, deeply confounding. And, you know, beyond all the statistics and the investigation, there's the story of a community that's just been left reeling, struggling to even comprehend how something like this could happen right in their own backyard. For friends and neighbors, the shock was it was compounded by total confusion. See, the Longs were seen by so many people as a perfect family, and that creates this painful, stark contrast between the image they had in public and the private despair that was obviously unfolding behind closed doors. So, in an attempt to process and maybe begin to heal, the community did what communities do. They came together. On August 21st, just a few days after the discovery, a vigil was held at the Madbury United Church. It was a moment for friends, for neighbors, to just share their grief and try to make some sense of an absolutely unthinkable loss. So, after all of this, what do we take away from it? Well, Beyond the headlines and the shocking statistics, this story really serves as a powerful, and I mean urgent, warning. One that speaks to the hidden struggles that can exist absolutely anywhere, in any town, in any family. It forces us to ask a really difficult question, one that Emily Long was so clearly struggling with herself. When you are just drowning in grief, when the pressure is unbearable and help feels totally out of reach, what do you do? Where can you possibly turn? And the answer is that there is help. It is so vital to know that resources are available. If you or anyone you know is in a crisis, you can call or text 988 anytime. That's the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. It's free, it's confidential, and it's there 24/7. And if you don't even know where to start, you can just dial 211 to get connected with local resources. Please remember these numbers. Which brings us to this one last haunting thought. Emily Long's story is a devastating reminder that cries for help aren't always loud screams. Sometimes they're quiet. Sometimes they're typed out on a screen, hidden in plain sight. And the question this tragedy really forces all of us to ask is, are we paying close enough attention to hear them?